JoJo McNeil sat down in the Woolworth lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina, about 6 months after we graduated together from Williston Senior High School in 1959. Both of us were born in Wilmington. Several of us, including JoJo and me, entered high school as sophomores at the age of 13. 1 year before, newspapers had covered the murder of Emmett Till.
At that time, things like the Emmett Till murder dramatically it left a dramatic impression. I've heard it described as the fact that the civil rights movement after the Montgomery bus boycott was essentially dead. There was no national civil rights movement, so to speak. I mean, there were several national organizations.
During our first semester, we learned how Rosa Parks sat down in the white section of a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, beginning the bus boycott. In our junior year, the Little Rock Nine started integration within the Arkansas school system, which erupted in violence.
We started to appreciate after Little Rock that separate was not equal. For example, here in Wilmington, memory serves me right, there was one huge library that was available to whites where you could go and read magazines and check out books and do other things you do in the library. And then there was a very small, almost two-room library that was available to black students, blacks in the community. Very limited in terms of the books that it carried and the books that were available. So clearly separate was not equal. Sitting down in Greensboro was the culmination of a lot of separate events. Had just come back from winter break, winter recess, when I was in New York. And so when I got on that bus, a strange process started developing. I didn't change, but suddenly people are viewing me very differently. It really bothered me. It made me very, very angry. In Richmond, I went to the counter that was reserved for whites, and I was told that you can't eat here. You have to go eat over there. So when I went back to A&T, I told my three colleagues, we're part of the process. We're part of the problem. We're not doing anything to actively take on the situation. Strangely enough, when nationally all of us decided that enough was enough, we decided that segregation should end. That's when it ended. In high school here in Wilmington, we talked about the need to be involved. We knew there would be detractors. No matter how we carried ourselves, there were going to be those who said we were rabble-rousers or whatever. So we thought that it was important to dress well and to carry ourselves in a respectable manner and carry ourselves with dignity. We talked about sitting at lunch counters and things like that. I think we all, because of exposure to the writings of Gandhi and Dr. King, understood the importance of nonviolence. So we set about that task, create impressions where they needed, the minds needed to be changed. We went over to people who needed to change their way of thinking. And we chose a store like Woolworths because it was a national store. I suggested they didn't serve us. In fact, they had just served us. The only thing different is that we're not sitting down. First, the kitchen help was directed to come over and tell us we were not going to get served and that we should get up and leave. Otherwise, the manager was going to come and get ourselves a lot. And we informed them that it was our intention to continue sitting through the service and So then several white waitresses came on. And the rhetoric was the same. You boys are going to get in a lot of trouble. We're not going to serve you. The store manager came over, Curly Harris. Well, he indicated it was his intention to call the police. So shortly thereafter, the policeman showed up. He starts to slowly walk back and forth down the aisle behind the lunch counter, behind us, thumping his billy club in his hand. So when we continued to sit, I think it sort of startled him. While we were sitting, some strange things started to happen around the store other than the policeman's present. An elderly white woman, probably, I would say in her 70s or 80s, came and sat beside my associate Frank McNeil and began a conversation with him. So that was like a shot of adrenaline. So we continued to sit, and I guess people started to mill about and crowd around us, observe what was going on, and where it was back. We kept insisting that we were not going to leave. Sure. So the manager closed the store that afternoon. And as we were leaving, we said, well, we'll see you tomorrow. And he had a sort of resigned look on his face. We left the store. As we emerged from the store's entrance, a photographer from the Associated Press, Jack Movies, was there. Jack took a picture before us leaving. Asked what was our intention to be back tomorrow. So I think that the next day, in the afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock, we showed up again with 10 to 12 students. And we continued to sit. The third day, because of the exposure in the local press and the Associated Press, people became aware. The third day, in addition to A&T students, 3 white co-eds, University of North Carolina, Greensboro, Women's College, joined on that third day, and I would imagine we had 32, 48 students. Other cities like High Point, Winston-Salem, started to have sit-ins. So these sit-ins are starting all over the place. The folks in Nashville who had talked about this considerably prior to our action, we had no idea what they were planning or what they were doing. In Atlanta, they picked up on the idea. This became a student movement. The young students from all across our country started to become involved, and to do so in a nonviolent manner, with the characters of with insistence on our rights. We had sit-in demonstrations, and I've heard of this 54 cities in the South. And we started to appreciate the fact that things would be picked up on the TV, in addition to the press and magazines. Well, that summer, lunch counters integrated in Greensboro in July. But obviously there were things to be done, other things to be done, other areas of segregated life. What is perhaps unique in retrospect is the fact that all the thousands of people who participated in this, no one was saying, what's in this for me? It was a proud moment for America. Truthfully, we all stand on each other's shoulders. Had there not been people ahead of me who made sacrifices, for example, the Tuskegee Airmen actions made it possible for me to come on later on and be an Air Force officer. But the sacrifice of parents, others, teachers who were ahead of me, made it possible for me to be who I was. And so, in the same sense, a lot of people made it possible for Obama to pursue the American dream.
This interview was taken 50 years after JoJo and I graduated from Williston, almost to the day. It is to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the sit-in.
When nationally all of us decided enough was enough, we decided segregation should end. That's when it ended.